Great. We are set to move on from where we stopped last week. Last week, we had a quite a very rich discussion, very, very important topic, the power of vision in leadership. And we had a good conversation. Really appreciate your feedback, your input. And we said that the DNA of a leader, in the DNA of a leader, if you sit down with a leader, you have having a conversation with a leader, there are aspects that should not miss in that conversation. And one of them is the issue of vision. Yeah, because if we refer to the 5 C's, the 5C strategy of a global leader is that you need to focus on competency, how we continue to grow knowledge, how we continue to grow in terms of having a deeper understanding of leadership, of our environment, having a deeper understanding of our people and also of ourselves. So the knowledge is quite dynamic, and that really positions us to be able to serve quite effectively as leaders. So we had a conversation around that, clarity in terms of vision, and I'm sure that discussion was quite insightful for all of us. Please take some time again just to look at the link, because it's a continuous process. Even as we continue to look at the link, you're able to be able to continue probably listening or capturing something that you might have missed. I've noticed this. Sometimes I have to listen to some particular clips a number of times, and you'll always get something new from that, from the clips. So the DNA of a leader, one of them we handled, which is the issue of vision. And tonight again, we'll just pick it up from that. We'll continue to discuss on this DNA of a leader, the discussion around the DNA of a leader, and the lessons that we are going to handle tonight actually add up to the DNA of a leader. What shouldn't be missed in any conversation of leadership, and more specifically to every leader. This is something that should be very clear to a leader. So tonight we want to look at lesson 12 and 13, and then next week we'll do lesson 14 and 15, and basically that tells you we'll be remaining with one lesson after next week. So we are almost coming to the end of the masterclass, but the lessons that are ahead of us are also quite rich and a lot of issues to discuss. So we are looking at the power of purpose in leadership, the power of purpose in leadership. The subject of purpose has been extensively discussed, and we still feel there's much, much more to engage around this discussion of purpose, because when the purpose is clarified, a lot of other things are also clarified. Tonight we have quite a lot to discuss about the leadership of this country and Kenya. And I think when we look at what is happening to our leadership around us, to the political leadership, to the leadership in other various spaces, I think we really want to step back and ask ourselves, why are we leaders? What is our objective as leaders? What is driving us as leaders to be leaders in all these areas of leadership? And if that is well clarified, leaders, I believe, will be able to address many other issues that are affecting leaders and affecting our people and affecting our countries, affecting our organizations. There are quite a number that could be handled with a clarity and with this kind of questions that we're going to ask ourselves. Why am I a leader? So the fundamental components of leadership, we have vision that we discussed. Tonight we're discussing purpose. Sometimes purpose could come out as the mission, could come out around in an organization setup. We see the vision statement, we see the mission statement. Sometimes we could see the purpose statement separate, and then we have the strategy. Those are the fundamental components of leadership. There are many others that we could add to this, but for us, we just want to focus on this. Also, the core values comes on, and we'll handle core values tonight in terms of character, because character could be among the issues that fits into the core values. but in a broader space, the core values has more other aspects that are important. So the fundamental components of leadership, we have vision, we have purpose, and we have the strategy. We have launched a new package, strategic leader, just to be able to focus on the issues of strategy. So you will note that in this masterclass, we don't extensively focus on the strategy because we intended this to be the next level of leadership. So vision gives us that end state in mind. It gives us a picture of what we see, a picture of what we visualize into the future, or what we visualize us becoming in the process of running with a vision. And I think we talked about some vision statements from last week's discussion, and we gave a number of examples, Oxfam, among other organizations, what they visualized. A decent society where everybody is treated equally. A hunger-free world, a world where we have leaders who are generational thinkers, they are purpose-centered, they are vision-driven. What are we seeing? What do we visualize? So it gives us that end state. And then purpose gives us the reasons. Why do we need to pursue this? Why do we need to work for this vision? What is the motivation? What is the drive? And then strategy will now give us how do we get there. So we visualize, and then we have the reasons to embark on that journey, and then we have the strategy now to be able to help us in terms of what methods do we deploy to be able to achieve our vision. So the subject of purpose has, as I said, has been extensively discussed, and I'm sure much more content is being developed around this area. And we all have various understanding on this question of purpose. So I just picked a number of similar words and some definitions just to help us have some common understanding on this discussion of purpose. And I want to invite you just to look at the similar words, and probably you could identify any that resonates with you in terms of what purpose means. Any word that resonates with you in the list. You could also go beyond the list. Maybe the word might not be in the list, but you have a word that resonates with you in terms of purpose. I invite you just to share on the chat. So let's look around in this list and just think through beyond the list. What one word resonates with the understanding of purpose with you? So we have the first definition there, as you share on the chat. The reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists, could be the reasons why someone is a leader, the reason why I serve in a particular position, a person's sense of resolve or determination. Again, we could say when purpose is clarified, the sense of resolve or determination is higher. Could also be intentions or objective as given in those definitions out there that are on the screen there. So what word resonates with you from this list and beyond? Could you feel free just to share on the chat, or if you could also unmute and just share, that's also okay. Thank you, Eunice. I see aim. What is the aim? Mr. Harrison, you're saying end. What is the end? What do we visualize as the end result or the end state? Thank you so much. Let me pick some more from the rest of the leaders. One word that resonates with you. So you can see the list has quite a number. We have the motive. What is the motivation? The grounds. We also have the cause. What is the cause? We have results. We have outcome, the usefulness, among many other words that are listed there. So I'll just continue checking on your what you have shared, just to look at it even as we continue with the discussion. It's very important to clarify purpose. and also the bigger picture to clarify the vision, especially these two. It's normally indicated that when you clarify purpose and clarify your vision, you are 80% to your success, because these are very important in terms of creating a higher level of determination, a higher level of resolve. Yeah. So when you determine these two, it also means that the quality of your leadership it could also be higher. Yeah. And it also helps us to be able to push through the strategy quite easily in a way. So why and the what here, meaning the vision, contributes to 80% of the leader's success, and 20% it's about the how, it's about the strategy, because again the strategy really depends a lot on how we have clarified the vision. There are various other ways we could look at this, but for the purpose of just in this subject, we'll wish to look at it from from this angle. So 80% of success is psychological, or is in terms of psychology, the conceptual view, the mindset, and then 20% becomes the process. So if the mindset is well set, is well grounded, there's we've clarified, we have hooked ourselves well, then the process, the strategy could be easily achieved, or could be easily formulated, and then we are able to stay on track. So I take you back to the story of the three builders. You remember the story of the three builders? Yeah, these three builders, all of them were undertaking the same task, and the same question was posed to the three of them. What are you doing? The first one said, I am working to earn and feed my family. The second one said, I am working, I'm building a wall. The third one said, I am here to build a cathedral for the glory of God. The same task, but all of them had various views of what and motivation and perspective of what they are doing. But again, if you look at the last one, they had a bigger picture of what he was doing. Yeah, so this is important as part of clarifying our purpose, and also as part of clarifying the bigger picture. JFK and the janitor, I think we have talked about that quite a number of times. We also talked about these two soldiers who were guarding a bench for quite some time, until a triple loop leader came on board and asked them what they were doing. Why? Actually, he posed the question of why, not just what. The what was clear for them, but the why was missing. And for a long time, they were engaging a task that shouldn't have been undertaken, because they had missed out on the why. Yeah, so that's really very important. And we're saying when it comes to leadership, the purpose for leadership is to help us to be able to maximize our capacity, our inherent capacity for service, as we also help others to uncover, understand, and optimize their own potential for service to others, and more importantly, for service to God. So when I'm a leader, I think this is so important, leaders, that it also helps us to be what we call the centered leaders. Centered leaders. So as I work, I'll be asking myself, how much of myself have I optimized? How much of my capacity am I optimizing? And how much, or how well am I helping others to be able to optimize their capacity and their potential? You remember, you can note that this will actually set a leader to be able to compete in another world, in a world of self competition, in a world of, I really have to tap. I'm tapping 30% of my capacity. I need to scale up this. I need to scale it up to 70, 80, 90, and even 100. And that really helps us to be very secure as leaders, and it also positions us to be able to really serve ourselves optimally, and also be able to help others to serve optimally. And a few thoughts from other leaders on the subject of purpose. JFK said that efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. And we always say that sometimes direction is important, but we also need to be able to clarify the purpose. Speed is good, but we need to be aware that we are in the right direction. Because if I'm really moving very fast, but in the wrong speed direction, then it doesn't really add value. So efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. That means it's very important to clarify purpose above many other parameters that we look at. So people lose their way when they lose their why. When we miss out on the why, there are a lot of other aspects that are affected, including our why. It's very easy to lose our direction when we miss out on the issues of purpose. And Dr. Miles Monroe said the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but a life without a purpose. Think about that in the context of leadership. Someone who is in charge of many people around there, and then we have a problem, we have a challenge when it comes to the issue of purpose. Why am I a leader? And if that is not well anchored, and sometimes even to a higher level, a divine authority, then it becomes a challenge in terms of how the quality of our leadership and the environment of the environment that we create in our leadership spaces. So without purpose that is greater than yourself, you are more likely to only serve yourself. Purpose takes us beyond just serving ourselves. It takes us to a space where we ask ourselves the questions of impact. We ask ourselves the question of contribution. We ask ourselves the question of legacy. Yeah, that really becomes the bigger issue. And we talked about this last week, leaders, if you can recall, when we were discussing about vision. And we said vision positions us to really think about these issues of impact, the issues of a legacy, the issues of contribution. It takes us beyond the self, and we start looking at the community, we start looking at our value addition. So without purpose that is greater than yourself, that is why even in the definition of purpose, we have to look at it from a higher level. We have to look at it sometimes from even a divine perspective, so that we really want to see, to look at it from what we can contribute beyond the self. Yes, we have to optimize what we have for the benefit of the people that we are serving. And the greatest tragedy in life is leadership with misinformed purpose. This again is a challenge when we serve or lead for the wrong purpose, and the wrong purpose here could also mean that they could not really be wrong, but they're not serving the greater good. Yeah, so that becomes a challenge. There are some core aspects that every organization and leader needs to know by heart. Again, this could just be a reminder, or just to remind ourselves. Could not be something really new. So 3 things that every person needs to know by heart. Again, you see at the center of this is purpose. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing, the reason I am a leader, the reasons we are undertaking the particular project, the reason now that issue of the why, so that we avoid those scenarios that we saw of those two soldiers guarding a bench for I think over 60 years for unnecessary, which was an unnecessary task. Yeah, so resulting to wastage, resulting to many other negative, even negative impact in terms of resource utilization. So purpose becomes really key here. And then we have the vision, what things look like. If we succeed, we'll have more generational thinkers, leaders who are generational thinkers. As we continue to succeed as GLN, we have more purpose-centered leaders. We have more vision-driven leaders in our homes, in our organizations, in the world. That's really what is happening. That's part of our success as GLN when it comes to the issue of vision. And then strategy. How do we achieve this? With strategy here, we are saying an ever-adapting plan of how to get there, an agile strategy, an adaptive strategy. Because remember, leaders, we are leading in a VUCA world. a volatile world, a world of uncertainty, a world of complexity, and a world of ambiguity. And therefore, the strategy must be dynamic, so that when things change, our strategy could also be adaptive to the changing environment. So purpose gives us the why behind our leadership. Vision gives us the what or the where. Then the strategy gives us the how of our leadership. So at the heart of these core aspects is the issue of the purpose. So we are saying leadership has to take care of these three. It has to take care of the purpose, it has to take care of the vision and the strategy. And again, remember we said when we clarify purpose and vision, we are 80% on our way to success. Yeah, so Tony Robbins said that success is 80% psychology and 20% strategy. So this again is part of what we are anchoring our discussions around, and also looking at in terms of the practical cases out there. When a leader is really clear in terms of the vision, you see the level of sacrifice. When a leader is clear in terms of purpose, you even see the level of impact. So and even the level of success of that particular leaders. I recommend a look at this leader, Simon Sinek. He's written quite a lot on issues of leadership, and something that I want us to refer to him in terms of purpose. And this is what he says, that people do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. In other words, I rephrased this to mean that people do not buy your vision until they buy your purpose. People may not buy what I do until they buy why I do it. People may not sacrifice for what you do, but they may sacrifice for why we do it. When the why is clarified, then it really triggers a higher level of determination, triggers a higher level of commitment. It also triggers resources, especially if the why is bigger. The why is bigger than self. The why has value to humanity. So it's not just what or how we do things that matters. What matters more is what and how we also do it, and it has to be consistent with the why. So leaders, I think this is really important just to reflect on this statement. It could be a part among the take-homes for today or the takeaways for tonight, that if we want people to buy our vision, when we really have to emphasize on the why. Why does that organization exist? Why does that program exist? Why do we need to undertake this project? Why are we guarding this particular bench? Why are we building this? Why are we laying the bricks? What is the bigger picture? So when the why is clear, it's easier to be able to get the buy-in. Yeah, so people do not buy first into your vision, but they first have to buy your why. Why are we equipping leaders? That really becomes the bigger picture, the bigger reasons, the bigger the driving force for the buy-in and the sustainability of that particular project, program, or even the organization. So what are we saying? That just looking at some principles of purpose, we are saying purpose is a central motivating goal. It has to be the central motivating goal, be it of leadership, be it of any other project or any other activity we are undertaking there. It has to be inherent in everything that we do. It has also to precede many other things. It has to precede even the launch of the product, the launch of the organization. Sometimes it is unique, and it's also fulfilled with various other resources that we have, including the talents, including the giftings that we have. So when we clarify purpose, you realize, again, the organization becomes more of a home, in quotes. It becomes more of a place where people feel they belong, because the clarity of purpose also triggers, or it helps us to leverage the different capacities that exist within our environment. What is the role of purpose? We're saying that purpose also informs how we make decisions and also our priorities. It also influences our motive, our values, our principles. Yeah, purpose shapes our plans, our goals, it offers a sense of direction. Meaning, it brings meaning. We all feel that we are here for a reason, and we all have a role, we all have a space, we are all useful, we are all important. It gives us a cause why we can stand in the midst of challenges, because we understand the why behind whatever we are doing. And if you allow me, I just mention one case of someone like David in the Bible. For him to be able to face the giant, to face that bigger problem, it had to come from a deeper understanding of the reason. What is the cause? Yeah, what is the cause? Why should I engage in this particular project of this magnitude that could even threaten my life? That can only happen when you have clarified purpose. So it also ignites a sense of determination, firmness, drive, enthusiasm, initiative, motivation, and even conviction. Very, very important. Conviction and dedication. Remember the story of Nelson Mandela. Why should you spend 27 years in jail? There has to be a greater cause for someone to spend 27 years in jail. So the cause really supersedes the challenges, supersedes the sufferings. And leaders, I think it's really important just to reflect on this and ask ourselves these questions, or this question: why are we leaders, and why are we serving in the various places that we are serving? Are we being able to clarify our purpose? Because if we have clarified our purpose, then it means in the midst of challenges, we'll always have something to hang on. We'll have something to cling on, and we'll not just survive, but this will position us to be able to thrive regardless of the changing environment. Effects of lack of purpose. What happens when we miss out on the issues of purpose? One, we are saying when we miss out on the issues of purpose, then we are easily able to lose our way. And I think if you look around, you will see this happening. Many leaders, and we are not judging anybody, but we are saying there are many leaders who have lost direction of why they are leaders. And that could be related, or could result from that understanding of why have we been elected? Why am I in this particular position? If I twist that, again, as I said, to just the self alone, then I'll do anything to ensure I satisfy the self. And our third president reminded us that leadership is a privilege. It's a privilege to better the lives of others. It's not an opportunity to satisfy our personal greed. I'm quoting what he said. So when we miss out on that, then you can see the results. When we get it right, again, you can see what happens. So leaders also lose their big picture when they lose their why. Why has to be anchored on the big picture. Leaders also lose their passion. We've seen again this happening when we have people that have lost their passion, when we have people that really don't see that bigger picture of the role, what their role is contributing to. Remember JFK and the janitor. The janitor had a view of a person in the moon. And then that again could have contributed to a higher level of passion, a higher level of commitment. So it's very easy for leaders to lose their conviction, lose out on their moral values, lose even the love. Yeah, leaders lose their love when they lose their why. Lose the love for people, lose the love for God, lose the love for even for self. That can easily be able can happen. Leaders also lose their compassion when they lose their why. Motivation, sometimes even the vision stalls when we lose out on the why. Legacy, There are leaders who have lost their legacy because they lost out on on this issue of the purpose. They didn't really probably anchored themselves. You know, there are times when you're starting something, you really have that clarity of purpose. I want to impact people. I want to add value to people. And then many other things happens along the way. Sometimes people even end up making more money, becoming more popular. But if it takes us from the purpose, it's very easy again to lose our vision and to lose the legacy. Leaders also lose their positive influence when they lose their why. Leaders, I would invite you just to pick out maybe something from this. And then as this will be part of the reflection, as we transition to the next lesson, I will invite you just to share your thoughts around this. So please just take a note and also reverse this on the positive side. Yeah, so we are saying when the why, the purpose is clarified, it also means the way is clarified. We are clearly anchored on the big picture. The passion is there. We have a high level of conviction in terms of character. We are well grounded. We have love for people, humanity, and self. We are compassionate in our leadership. We have high level of motivation. The vision is clear. We are careful about our legacy, and we continue to create positive influence within our leadership spaces. Qualities of a purpose-driven leader. As a purpose-driven leader, again, just to add to already a few things that I've mentioned, that our purpose-driven leaders are driven by purpose that aims at improving and benefiting humanity. We go beyond self, and we want to see the value. What is our value as leaders? Yeah, purpose-driven leaders inspire hope and they lead to a better future. They have a greater sense of purpose that goes beyond just our own private ambitions. They lead beyond personal plans and ambition. They are servant leaders. They have a servant heart, and they're ready to sacrifice. Yeah, and there's a quote here by Nelson Mandela, really to sum this up very well. It sums this up very well, that what counts in life is not the mere fact that we lived. It is the difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we lived, but it is the difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life that we lead. I happened to undertake a certain course, and in that course, we were challenged to prepare our own will. It was a big struggle, our own eulogy, and it was a big struggle because we were like, we can't do that. Culturally and what we understand about those are things that should be done in your absence, not when you are alive. But we were told this: you are already writing it, whether you write on paper or not. You are already writing it. And when we accepted to do it, what was really shocking is that the things that we captured, some of them were not in our list of priority, because we didn't talk about many things that we felt were very important. We didn't talk about probably the projects that we were doing. We didn't talk about maybe the assets that we had. We didn't talk about this. They are important, yes, but we didn't write about them. What we wrote was what we did in society. Yeah, this was a person who impacted leaders. This was a person who was able to educate the orphans. This was a person who transformed this particular person, and it really made us to reprioritize so many things in our lives. And that was one of the things that triggered the beginning of this masterclass, because I started asking myself the same questions. What is my contribution to society? What is my value to society? And leaders, when we start asking ourselves those hard, important questions, we actually realize a lot of reorganization sometimes in terms of our priorities. So Nelson Mandela, quite a provocative statement, yet very, very important, that at the end of our journey, it is the difference that we have made that will really count. I like saying this, that success is a still small voice. I am the only person who can tell if I'm successful in life or not. And that comes from that still small voice. When everybody else could be clapping at you, but inside you are telling yourself, no, I didn't live my life the way I wanted. Why I'm taking this direction tonight is just to help us really reflect, just to help us really look at our life and just look at our contribution and maybe think more about our purpose, and hopefully probably just to be able to see what we can realign as a product of this discussion. So again, in the qualities of a purpose-driven leader, we are saying purpose-driven leaders have their names in the hearts of people. And this happens through investing in people. They don't just carve their names in structures. We have seen structures that have people's names, but we go beyond that. Let those structures be a place of adding value to humanity. Their legacy is etched in the minds of others, where it can never be erased or depreciated. You know, there are times we talk about even teachers who transformed our lives. Those teachers may not get to places where sometimes we are able to get, or someone is able to get, but we continue to remember them. I remember I've written about one of the teachers in my book. He has not written any book, but we've written a book about him because he was able to transform my life. So that's dynamic legacy, what we do and invest in the lives of others. And that is the business of every leader. So purpose-driven leaders, they also lead out of conviction, dedication, and sacrifice. They are intrinsically motivated. It's the fulfillment. Is that going to bed knowing that I was able to touch a life? I was able to transform a life. That is the still small voice that we are talking about. I have been successful this day because I transformed a person's life. So purpose-driven leaders, they also understand that the legacy they leave is the life they live every day. Every day we are writing our story. Every day we are writing that book about our lives. Yeah. So purpose-driven leaders, they also appreciate that mentorship and succession is the path to true legacy. They are not selfish, but they know that they have to mentor because that is how they give themselves, and that is how they're able to build a better society. So leaders, as we conclude lesson 12, let's look at the golden circle leadership model. Again, part of what we have already discussed, why people follow a leader, and effective leadership should start with the why. Again, this is also by Simon Sinek. And according to the golden circle, at the center of leadership is the question of why. Yeah, is the question of why. We should always start with the why. The golden circle indicates or states that we should always start with the question of why. First why, and then everything else follows. And you will note that in many organizations, the issue of what they do could be quite clear. The products they sell, the services they offer. The how, again, could also be quite clear to a number of people in the organization. Yeah, how they offer, what is the strategy that we use to offer the products or the services. But when it comes to the issue of why, very few organizations and the people serving in particular organizations understand why they do what they do. And sometimes if we think we know it, could not be the really issue of why. Yeah, you're saying why is not about making money. That's a result. We make money as a result of serving the why. It's a purpose, it's a cause, it's a belief. It's the very reason for the existence of that organization. So the question here is, what is the very reasons of existence of an organization, or the very reason of my leadership? That's a big question here. When we clarify that, then many other things are clarified. Yeah, so from the golden circle, leaders are able to inspire action instead of manipulating people. When we clarify and start with why, we are able to inspire action. We don't manipulate people. Yeah, remember we said that people do not buy to your what before they buy to your why. They don't buy to your vision before they buy to your why. And when we fail to emphasize on the why, then that is when we have to deploy strategies of sometimes that even could be manipulative to be able to buy or to get the buy-in. Some cases here of someone like Martin Luther King Jr. Remember that movement? I have a dream. Yeah, it was able to give clarity to why people followed that leader. Yeah, so he was able to move people in a big movement that has impact until today because he had clarified the why. It was not for him, it was for generations to come. It was for his children. And he could visualize a state where people are living a decent life, they are respected, and people are cohesive community. Yeah. So that's one example. Secondly, we are saying this, the golden circle also focuses on how do we trigger inside out transformation? How do we cultivate trust? How do we ensure that we don't lose momentum? That has to come from the why, the clarity of the why. Why do we exist? Actually, when you talk about the why, people feel some sense of ownership. People feel like they want to be part and parcel of these bigger reasons. And look at many cases of leaders who have succeeded. Again, as I mentioned, you'll always find that issue coming out very clear, including the organizations that are doing well. You see how they market themselves. They talk about the problem they are solving and the why they are solving the particular problems. So why represents a leader? A leader, we spend our time on the why. We clarify why. We also clarify the what, the vision. Sometimes we could clarify the how, but that has to be collaborative. So why is the cause? What is the cause? What is our belief? What is our very reason of doing whatever we are doing? And when we get this clear, we are saying then we'll have a higher level of commitment, higher level of impact, and even our success level, including our revenue, also could go high, could go up when we clarify this. We had one of us who was in this class and is running a security company. And he was telling me when he went through this class, he went back, called the directors that they worked together, and he asked them this question: why are we running this company? And they had a long discussion until finally they had to clarify a bigger why beyond what probably they were seeing at that particular time. And he was telling me that clarity, which was also sold to the employees of the organization, it totally transformed the organization. The revenues shot. They were able to open more branches in the country, and many other things happened. Actually, when he was telling me that, just as feedback, it was so fulfilling because that is the main goal behind this class. That could we pick something? Could this transform us? Could it help us to create better work environment? Could this discussion help us to create a better society? Could it help us to transform the people we are leading and add more value and position them to be able to really see themselves as part of the bigger picture in terms of what you intend to achieve as an organization? Finally, I really don't, this last part, I normally just mention it. But I know we have different understanding. We are from different background. How to connect to your purpose. I know nobody can really tell you this there are many ways we look at this, but I always feel it's just important just to bring this maybe from a biblical perspective, respecting all the other views and all the other perspectives on this particular topic of purpose. But I think the sure way to discover the purpose of something is to go back to the inventor. If I ask the inventor, why did we make this phone? That in many cases you'll find the inventor having a clear purpose. And I think it's always good, and that's why I said the issue of purpose has to be anchored to a divine perspective to help us be more meaningful. And in Jeremiah 29:11, God has not left us in the dark to wonder and guess. There's a clear plan for all of us. Remember again when Jeremiah was young, it was very clear why he was there as a person. Yeah, so we connect to our identity and purpose through God, and our purpose, we are saying our purpose fits to a larger cosmic purpose, God's grand plan. We all plug into a bigger purpose. And that's why it's important not to look at it from isolation, from a point of isolation, so that we don't miss out on the overall goal of our lives. In Acts 13:36, again, as I said, just to give us an understanding, again, from a biblical perspective. Now, when David had served God's purpose in his own generation, he fell asleep. He was buried with his ancestors and his body decayed. I think this is just that fulfilling statement that could be said about you and me when we have effectively fulfilled our purpose. Yeah. Serving our generation, we are saying purpose is about God and his agenda in the world through you, because you and me, we are here to be able to serve this grand plan. And purpose is about serving God's purpose. It's about serving people. It's about becoming useful to the people that God has given us. It's about tapping into our resources, as I said from the very beginning, and making these resources useful to the many people that we have been. We are stewards. We are steward of what we have been given, be it people, be it resources. So the spotlight about purpose and the clarity about purpose has always to start from God, and it ends with God. So leaders, I believe we connecting with each other, and I think it's just fair enough. This is a very, very important discussion, very important discussion about purpose. And I'm sure, as I said, we have all maybe engaged in this discussion from different perspectives, different angles. But I believe probably there's something that you were able to pick from this discussion and just see how to work around this, how to enhance your leadership from this discussion about the purpose-driven leader. Could I just spend some minutes here, maybe 5 minutes, just allow all of us to make a comment? In case you are in a position where you can unmute and share a comment, that will be very good. In case you are not able to unmute and share a comment, just use the chat platform. Then we reflect for some few minutes, and then we'll be able to move on to the last session of tonight. I wish to start with Reverend Vitalis, if you're able to share your comment, maybe something that has come out strong in this discussion, or something that you may want to add to tonight's discussion. Pastor Vitalis. Okay, I think I may check on Pastor Vitalis as we continue. Can I move on to Abi Mudeu? Abi Mudeu, if you're able to make a comment. Okay, how about Susan Wanjiku?
one thing I've noted with this today's teaching is about why we are leaders, and so that we clarify our purpose. That is, as a leader, you must know why you are doing something, and you try to achieve what you are aiming at. So to me, it was a very educative session, and I'm happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you for your comment. The clarity, very important, and making it very intentional. Okay, let me move on to Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair. Kindly, probably you can maybe revisit the question again, so that I'm able to find my way into commenting.
Okay, Mr. Harrison, that's okay. We are reflecting on the discussion on this particular subject, and at this particular juncture, we're just sharing our thoughts, maybe from what we have discussed, maybe something that probably has come out very strong for you, or even any additional comment on the issues of purpose beyond what we have handled in the class. It's just more of a reflection session.
Thank you. Probably in a nutshell, I would just give my personal experience and say, I've been to business 15 years, but when I was starting, my purpose was not to be a leader, to be very sincere. I was just repairing equipment. I was a good engineer, and I just enjoyed doing it. But now, once you get a customer, 2, 3, 4, they're up to 10. So you find you having an extra person to help you out, 3 persons, 4 persons, and then you realize, since you are the accountant, you are the marketer, you are the engineer, you are the admin, you realize you're getting somebody to do one, and before you know it, you have a whole team of then you figure out you're now dealing with other issues. Before it's clear that actually now you need to engage another gear, unless now you get into, because leadership is not something you learn in a theoretical setting, school. These are things you just bump it, unless you're lucky to sit in a class where this kind of stuff are being taught. You learn them by experience. And now later on, that's when I figure out, I'm dealing with this issue. This to me is a HR issue. Who knows how to do HR? I'm not a HR guy. So you're finding you requiring input in various sectors like accounting, HR, managing people, marketing. I'm not a marketer by profession, but I enjoy talking to people, I enjoy selling, I enjoy interacting. So later on, that's when it now dawns, once we've gone out through this session, it's been all a quest to engage in leadership approach to business. You're now not running a one-man show. You are managing people. You're not now giving people instructions. People are not buying into what you're doing. People are buying into why you're doing it. So therefore now, focusing on trying to explain, so that a simple thing like keeping records for a vehicle that has been repaired, it's something that I'm not having to explain to people, blah, blah, blah. Then, kumbe, now you're coming and, sort of like saying, people buy into why. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why right? They ignore. And once it gets to 1, 2, 3, 4, or the records have to be kept, but now explaining the reason why something has to be done, I think I really resonate with that. And that now is more of managing people, and because these are adults, these are human beings, they're intellectuals, so explaining that and making sure that you make them understand to me, it's something really I concur with.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Harrison. You reminded me I was in a session and we were discussing about taxes, and we were saying there were government representatives. We were asking this question: if people are hesitant in paying taxes, it communicates something, it means something. Could we ask ourselves the right questions? Yeah. You find sometimes someone doesn't want to get to use particular approach methods of transaction because you don't want to get into issues of KRA and all that. And I think the question is, are we asking ourselves the right questions? If we tell people to pay taxes, and I'm not saying this just in the context of what is going on right now, but I'm saying in the context of the why. What is the why behind this? What is the why behind? I remember the third president really tried on this issue when he said tulipe ushuru tujitegemee, and I think practically we could see some value addition. So I think, as you've put it, including to basic things like keeping records. Why should we keep records? So when we fail to probably sometimes clarify on the why, then there is a struggle. We do it when it's convenient. We do it for someone else, not for us. We do it because someone else requires to be done. I've seen this also with the issues of performance contracting, where people rush just to do it, and it's not in us, but we have to do it. It's a requirement. But when we clarify the why, you might find more buying, people being more receptive, being even more careful. Yeah, more careful in terms of how we undertake some of the tasks that could sometimes look very basic. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Let me also invite Dennis for a comment. Also invite Sylvia as we check on Dennis. Sylvia, good evening. Any comment you can share?
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
have learned that purpose-driven leaders, they are driven by a purpose that aims at improving and benefiting humanity. So I need whatever, when I'm leading, my aim is to improve and benefit, not personal, but benefit the humanity. Also, I've seen that I should inspire hope to the people I'm leading. And then I should also try to live beyond my personal plans and my personal ambitions, because I'm leading the others. Then I've seen that as a leader, I should also carve my name should be carved in their hearts, so they do know this one, leader so and so, has helped me. And then there is a legacy. Even when I die, they will say, this one led me, this one taught me, this one guided me. So there is a legacy that I will leave behind. I've also learned about the core aspects of leadership, that there is purpose, there is vision, there is strategy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. That's really a very good summary. And you remind me the story of Dorcas in the Bible. Again, allow us just to refer to that tonight. But when she died, she wasn't buried. Yeah, the widows, they felt, no, this person has done so much for us, and they had to look out for Peter, because they were asking, who will make us for us these clothes? Who will do this? Who will make for us the coats? This was someone who lived to add value to people. And even when she was voiceless, people became her voice. She could not talk because she was dead, but her actions were speaking now, and people became her voice. And I think that's really what we are talking about in our own style, our own measure, in our own context, what we can be able to add value to the lives of others. And I just felt, Sylvia, when you mentioned that, it reminded me this story, very, very inspiring story, and a story of what legacy means. Yeah, goes beyond even when we can talk, people can be able to talk for us. Let me also move on to, before I invite Mr. Mwangi, I'll invite Tabitha Kiberu. Any comment you can share? Tabitha, have a comment? Okay, then I'll move on to Eunice. Eunice, if you have a comment, you can share.
Okay, good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, for that impactful lesson. For me, when you said about the challenge you were given when you were taught to write a will, I think that has triggered something, and I'm like, what? If I'm challenged to write my own will, not thinking about the assets, the projects, but thinking about how I've impacted humanity. And I'm like, I think that's a great challenge. Why I am here, whether I've touched the life of people around me, or the ones I've been put responsible. So I take that as a big challenge, and the why gets more loud, especially when we looked at these guards who are guarding the bench for a long time, but in essence, yeah, they knew what they were doing, but why? So why is too loud, and I take the challenge that I should really keep asking myself as a leader why I am doing what I'm doing. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eunice, for the reflection. Let me conclude with Mr. Mwangi, Bernard Mwangi.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, leaders. The Bible tells us that all things work together for good, and for those who love God, and for those who are called according to his purpose. I like the story of Mr. Harrison, when he started his business, that as an engineer, he thought that was all he needed. But in the course of time, he realized he needed some other things to put into his profession. And he realized that for him to satisfy the customers, he needed other things to be put together. So the purpose for which he established the business could not have been established until he brought on board those other personnel that he's having within his organization. And that is really what has come to the realization that the purpose for his business was meant to bring on board who are the people we are calling or we are growing as leaders, so that his business may realize the purpose for which he had established it. Otherwise, once we appreciate the purpose, that is the question of why, then I believe we'll be able to move on and make better the roles that we have been assigned in our respective areas. And that will, by so doing, then we'll be able to accomplish the purpose for which God created us. Probably that's what I would wish to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwangi. I think we have some comments on the chat. Dennis, you're saying today's lesson, why enables one to leave an impact and live a life of purpose. Tabitha, you're saying the purpose of a leader can make a difference in any institution that one is leading. Thank you so much, leaders. Really appreciate for your comments. So straight away, I want us to progress and conclude by looking at the last discussion of the last lesson for tonight. We're talking about the power of character in leadership. This is lesson 13. Just a build up again on what we have just handled, but now we want to bring this aspect of character on board, because I think this is another very, very important discussion when it comes to issues of leadership. We need to amplify this. We need to make it more often as part of our discussion. And pick it up from this story of the builder. Yeah, we had this builder. This is a story that is online. I've put the reference there. And what happened? There was this elderly carpenter, and he attained his retirement age, and now he was ready to retire. So he had to inform his employer of his plans to leave the organization and move on with life. Yeah, I have now more time with the family. But he said he would miss the paycheck. But the time had come for him to retire. So what happened is that the contractor was quite sorry to see this was a very good worker. Now the time has come, he has to leave. So he really felt it. But he requested him just to do one house for him as a favor before he leaves or he retires. So the carpenter agreed, but the story says, in the story it is indicated that his heart was not in the work. Yes, he accepted, but he wasn't for it. The heart was not there. So he didn't do the best of his job. He did a shoddy job. He also used inferior materials. It was really unfortunate just to see how this good worker was finishing the race, or the finishing his career. So at the end, when the carpenter finished his work, the builder came to inspect the house. And do you know what the contractor did? He handed over the key to the carpenter. And he said, "This is your house. It is my gift to you." This was a shock to the carpenter. It was actually a shame, because if he had only known that he was building his own house, he would have done it much, much better. His heart would be in it. He would have used the best materials. But now see, he had now to live in a house that was done poorly, that was constructed with inferior materials. And I think, leaders, this is where we want to start this discussion about the issues of character, because sometimes they impact us, whether we know it or not, intentionally or unintentionally. Because for this carpenter, we see now how he ended his career. And this actually could have eroded many other benefits or good things that he had done in life. I'll keep on referring to that story as we continue. But I want to also indicate what Warren Buffett said, that when you are looking for people to hire, you need to look for three things: integrity, intelligence, and energy. But if you don't have the first one, if you find that integrity is missing in that particular person, the other two could easily kill you or kill the organization. So in other words, what he's saying, intelligence and energy are important, but they are bound together by integrity. So we have to get the integrity before even as we consider the others. So the other two are actually anchored on that aspect of integrity. And there's a picture in front of us. Maybe most of us have seen this picture. We know where it is. At KICC, this is the first president of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta. And I want to ask you a question, leaders. Can you predict what is the status of this person at this particular time? Is he seated? Is he standing? Is he walking? Where that picture is, we know where it is. It's at KICC. So there at KICC, can we predict if he's seated, he's standing, or he's walking. What do you think? I know this it could be a weird question, but what do you think is happening to this particular person, to this person at this particular time? Is he seated? Is he
Yeah,
walking?
this person seems like he's seated from
Mhm.
the posture.
Okay. He's seated. He's seated. Abby also saying he's seated. Yeah, the reason why we are asking this question is just to, again, connect this discussion of character. Yeah, because we're saying character, this is a word that was derived from ancient Greek. Yeah, referring to a mark impressed upon a coin. And character brings one important question, or one important aspect of predictability. A person of character we can easily predict the state of that person in absence or in presence, or in his or her presence or her absence. When that person is not with us, like for example, now we know this, we are not there, we are not at KICC, but we can tell he is seated. Yeah. So I'll amplify this in the course of our discussion. But we are saying character is what defines you and me, what people sometimes see in you or me, what people will say about you, even when they're not together with you. And there are 6 pillars of character. One is trustworthiness. Can people trust you? Respect. Do people respect you for who you are? Remember, we talked about the 5 levels of leadership by John C. Maxwell, and we talked about the pinnacle level, the highest level, which is respect. And respect comes in, again, as a quality or the pillar of character. Then responsibility, the fairness. How fair am I as a leader? Caring, am I a caring leader? Am I a compassionate leader? And then citizenship, especially in the context of a country, or even within an organization, there are also aspects that speaks to the patriotism. So we're saying 10% above the water is leadership skills, knowledge, and experience, but 90% below the water is a leader's character. What sinks a leader in most cases may not be the skills, may not be the knowledge, may not even be the experience. It could be what we are talking about tonight. The issues of character, the issues of trustworthiness, the issues of respect, the issues of fairness, the issues of how compassionate, how caring, among many other things that we'll talk about. So Dr. Tim Elmo said, your skill may get you to the top, but it is your character that will keep you there. Yeah, as a leader, I can climb up based on my competency, based on my skill, but again, now at those higher level, whatever level I get to, what could sustain me there, again, now becomes very important, the issue of character. Because again, when we bring in the issue of character, it balances many other things. How we treat people, how we deal with the people, how we serve ourselves out. And I think that's really what now keeps you, or keeps me as a leader at that particular space. Globally, we have seen leaders who have scaled up very well, and then all of a sudden something just happens, and we are not judging them, but we're talking about character and then how it impacts them. So I think that's very important to think about that as we talk about this discussion of character. So Dr. Tim Elmo, according to him, again, we're saying character is the backbone of leadership. And therefore, as a leader, I must balance the academics of leadership and the leadership morality. So what is character? Just a few definitions here. We're saying it's the moral character, or character is the analysis of an individual moral quality. The moral qualities here we are talking about some virtues such as empathy, yeah, such as honesty, such as good behavior or habits. Yeah, and these attributes are all part of the soft skills. And this is why we're really emphasizing, even from the very beginning, when we talked about the 28 principle or the iceberg model, we said in this masterclass, we're not dealing with the skills, we're not dealing with the technical, especially the technical aspect. We could be doing very well on that. But we want to ask ourselves the question of the soft skills, the question of the horizontal skills, the question of these issues of 80% what could easily drown a leader. The motive, how the honesty, the motive, and all those things, the attitude again, that are part of what we're talking of the soft skills. So character is having the inner strength to be truthful, to be trustworthy, to act justly and honorably, and to be consistent in words and actions. They're saying a leader of character is fixed and predictable in every circumstance. Again, remember that statue. We say that we predict what is happening to that statue. So when I'm a leader of character, whether I am with people or not, whether those people are with me or not, whether I'm in the country or outside the country, there's that predictability. I know this is what Mr. Harrison could be doing right away, right now. I may not be there with that person, but I know I've lived with that person, I've observed that person, I know what that person can or cannot do. That predictability comes in when our character is well grounded and there is clarity of what we stand for. So a leader of character is steady, yeah. A leader of character is also has what we call the moral values. So sometimes people have their code of conduct and all those other things that are connected to this. So character, again, we are saying commitment to a set of values, a set of standards, principles, which we stand for, and we don't waver, we don't compromise. This reminds us the story of Nelson Mandela. Despite all the discussions, despite the conviction or the favors that was given to stop the movement, to stop the push, he didn't do it because there was that unwavering spirit. He knew what he wanted, and he stood for it until he was able to achieve it. So a leader's philosophy informs the belief system of that leader. Then the belief system also leads to the values. The values leads to morals. Morals now informs our ethics, and our ethics produce character. And then what happens? Character becomes a lifestyle. And that's why we are saying that aspect of predictability, the lifestyle, what we live and what we manifest as leaders. So character is the foundation stone, yeah, where we build respect, where we have the moral ground even to be able to engage in terms of leaderships. So we build, our leadership is anchored. We say the character is the backbone. Yeah. So no man can climb out beyond the limitation of his own character. And again, in the last analysis, what we are communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. There's a time I was in a certain meeting, and the leader was speaking. There was a leader of high credibility, a leader who had sacrificed his life, a leader who had transformed many people's lives, and he didn't speak for long. He just spoke for less than 10 minutes. But we were so attentive, we didn't want to miss even a single word of that particular leader. And the question I asked myself, what is happening? Why are we so keen on this leader who is speaking for less than 10 minutes, yet we have leaders who spoke for 1 hour, and sometimes we didn't give that attention to these leaders. But what came to mind is that at a certain stage in life, what really amplifies our words is the lifestyle. Our lifestyle becomes the bigger voice. And that's really what this statement here implies. In the last analysis, what we are, how we have lived, communicates far more eloquently than anything else we say or do. Yeah, so a good reputation, again, is more desirable than great wealth, and favorable acceptance more than silver and gold. Leaders were saying at the end of the day, good character has to be very, very intentional. You have to really think about this, work around this. We are saying build piece by piece, build piece by piece, by intentionality and all that. So someone said that we need to watch out your thoughts because they lead to attitudes. Attitude could lead to words, words could lead to actions, action could lead to habits, and habits could lead to character. Then character becomes our destiny, becomes our lifestyle. It ushers us to where we ought to be. Yeah. We might project where we want to be, but again, is the character, is the habit that will lead us to the right place, the right direction of where we ought to be. Leadership character, therefore, comprises of one, self-discipline, not a new word, not uncommon, very common to all of us, but we're saying the ability to be consistent and to do what is right and just regardless of emotions, popular opinion, or feelings. This happens a lot to us leaders. There are times we have to make critical decisions. There are times we have to think beyond the emotions, beyond becoming popular, beyond our feelings, for us to be able to make the right decision. So self-discipline, then we have core values, those principles that guide me, the principle that I hold dear to me. And this, I think they have to start from self, even before we talk about organizations and we talk about other core values in respect to where we are leading or the spaces of leadership. Then sense of identity, this is important because it sets us free to be ourselves, to live our life based on what we have, based on the strength that we have, and serving them diligently. Then emotional security, yeah, the capacity to be able to maintain myself, to be stable, to be consistent, regardless of what could be happening within our environment. So emotional security, very important, because the dynamic world, the dynamic environment could easily get us out of balance. So emotional security helps us to maintain balance. So why character matters? We are saying that this is a valuable asset for every leader. Yeah, it also shows how a leader truly is, besides what he or she says or does. And character also creates trust, shows commitment, and proves ability. We're saying also character shapes a leader's life, and every other aspect of leadership is at risk when character is at risk. Character also establishes the inner strength of a leader. The inner life is the leader's inner life. It strengthens the leader's inner life. It helps the leader to be a winner or to have inside victory before we can talk about the outside victory. Character protects a leader's life. It also protects a leader's vision. It protects people. It helps us to protect the people that we are leading. Yeah, character safeguards the well-being of those under our authority. A leader of good standing then becomes a leader who is able to take the well-being and protect the well-being of others. Character also, good character inhibits a leader from hurting those around him. It influences the morality of others, brings the longevity of leadership. And again, character, we're saying it's something that we have to be very intentional about, talk about it, work about it, and really ensure that becomes like the backbone of our leadership. There are 7 deadly sins by Mahatma Gandhi. And according to him, these are the 7 deadly sins. 1 is wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, science without humanity, knowledge without character, politics without principles, commerce without morality, worship without sacrifice, and I would add leadership without character. This becomes the deadly sins according to Mahatma Gandhi. And I believe these are things that really provokes us to be able to look widely, look at ourselves, look around us, look at the leaders that we have, those people that have been entrusted to us, and how we are able to take good care of them. So leadership principles on character, these are summary of what we have talked. So we are saying is the foundation of true success in leadership, that is character. It also protects a leader's life, gift, potential. Again, character qualifies a leader's consistency and predictability, gives weight to what we say, attracts trust and loyalty, also self-imposes discipline. It integrates all these, the words, the deeds, the action, reinforces strategy, and is tested in privacy. Character amplifies power. It also protects a leader's vision and purpose. I invite you to look at our Constitution, Chapter 6, Leadership and Integrity. I think it's just good because we are leaders and we know we keep on referring to this, just to be able to look at this and see the responsibility of leadership. I know we are talking about the state officers, but I think there are qualities that are also important for any leader out there. So just take some time to look at this so that we are also conversant with what it says. I'll not look at it, but I just invite you to have a look at that. So finally, leaders, as leaders, how do we build a strong character? Or how have you built a strong character? Or how are you building a strong character? What should we do as leaders? I want to invite you here. This is the concluding part of this discussion tonight. And I would take maybe a few thoughts around this before I project what we have in this last slide. What is your view on this question as leaders? It could be something that you are already doing it intentionally, or even could be a suggestion that we could share together as we bring this discussion to a close. As leaders, how do we build a strong character? Could I invite your thoughts on this and then we conclude? Just free to share on the chat, or just feel free to unmute and just share your comment. So the chat I can see being intentional. Yeah, thank you, Eunice. Okay, so let me pick two more. I will pick two more, then we conclude. Upholding good morals. Thank you, Mwangi. Let me pick one more, the final one.
Let me maybe say, I think picking on a business mentor, somebody who already has this very strong aspect of, an accommodation of characters, and then learn from them, either through reading, interacting, whichever way.
Yeah, true. I agree with you totally. That's why we said it has to be intentional. It has to be on purpose, and I think that way we are more safer. I think there's somewhere where the Bible says, when you think, I don't know, just trying to paraphrase. When someone feels, I'm using my own words, you cannot fall. That's when you really fall. Yeah, when we think these things are too far away from us, that's when we find we become culprit. But when I think like, wow, this can happen to me, It can happen to any of us. It can happen to my leaders. And therefore, how do I take care even before it happens? That now becomes the discussion. So I think that's really important. I'm seeing there we are saying observing business ethics as well. Yeah, there are business ethics in every profession. We have some business ethics. In addition to what you have said, I'll just conclude with this. Intentionality, very important. So that we want to understand, just as Harrison, you have indicated, we want to understand, we want to know those who have been able to stand what happened. And some of them, we will realize they faced challenges. It's not that they were not tested. And those are things that now maybe when we intentionally explore their lives and want to understand their journey, you start realizing, wow, they all went through this. What happened? How did they overcome? How did they make it to where they are? And all of us have our own stories. So I think being very intentional about this and also being authentic to ourselves, having that understanding that it's not far away from me, it's just around me. So how do I, if it happens, if I find myself in this situation, how do I manage? So that having those very authentic conversations about our leadership and about what is happening within our environment. Then cost-benefit analysis. There are times you find yourself in a particular situation, and you have to quickly do a cost-benefit analysis. This one I normally refer to someone like Joseph. That's from the Bible. How he was able to quickly make a decision. Should I compromise or should I stand up for my vision? Where is the weight? The weight is in standing for the vision. And then quickly we're able to make the right decisions. So cost-benefit analysis, sometimes some good offers come all along the way, but when we analyze them critically, they are not really offers. They have their own costs that could be could impact on our lives and on organizations negatively. Then committing to particular values and principles, I've talked about that. We've talked about self-discipline, and then accountability support system, very important again. Professionally, if you're in a particular professional, there are particular, there's a code of conduct or the code of ethics, what is allowed. So accountability support system, again, this is really important. It helps us just to be on check as well, because again, we're saying we are authentic. It's not away from us. These things are not far away from us. Can easily find ourselves where we are now serving ourselves more than we are serving the people, where many other things that we have mentioned are easily happening to us. And then honesty and courage. Sometimes we have to make decisions that requires a lot of courage, requires to be very honest with ourselves. And I mentioned the story of someone like Nelson Mandela. You have to be courageous to make some particular decisions so that we maintain our moral standing. Leaders, that brings us to the end of that conversation. The issue of character, I think it's just a trigger discussion. But it's something that all of us at a personal level, just to think about what we have discussed, go beyond what we have shared, and probably at a personal level, see where you are and what we need to do. Because again, as we said, this is a foundation of leadership. We say that many other things could take us up in the ladder of leadership, but what could sustain us there is what we have talked about today, the issues of character. So with that, we bring this to an end. Thank you so much for your contribution. We really appreciate that. Unless there is someone who wants to add your voice to this, we want to close at that, and then just spend maybe 5 minutes just to reflect on how we are faring on the project proposal. Then we wind up. Is there any comment on the discussion of character? Anybody who may want to add your voice? Okay, if there is none, then I thank you so much. Really appreciate for your participation. Thank you so much for sharing your comments. You will note that we are remaining with 3 modules. So next week we'll handle the 2 modules, and then the other week we'll finalize with the 1 module, and then have some more time to discuss the project proposal. Then we'll now conclude. Normally, the final project presentations, we combine all the cohorts for more learning and more interaction. So we'll be able to indicate which date it will be. Probably just like what we did last week, where we could opt for a Thursday or a Tuesday, where all of us will be able to participate. But we'll communicate about that next week. Otherwise, could I check with the teams how you are faring? We'll start with team 1. I know we had Dennis who was with us, but I see he's not in at the moment. We have Abby, we have Pastor Vitalis, we have Esther Ndiritu, and then we have Nancy Chege. Probably Abby or Pastor Vitalis, you could mention where you are from last week's discussion. Some of you have already shared your progress with me. So I've looked at it, I've shared some comments, but there are others that we haven't interacted. So maybe I could invite Abby just for a comment.
We're still expounding on what we presented last week. So before the next class, we can show you what we will have done.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Well noted. So just feel free when you have something to share, share with me so that I can share your comments. Next week, we'll take some more time on this. So we'll allow each group just to be able to share your discussion. Remember, we said this is important. One, just to work together as a team, and then we'll have some evaluation at the end on some particular parameters of team leadership. This is also important just to think more of solution-driven leadership. If we have issues out there, can we take some step and just address that issue? Again, we also say this is important just to, again, collaborate in terms of problem solving. There are solutions that we can only offer when we work together as a team. So there are particular issues that we want to achieve in this discussion beyond just delivering the project itself. Team 2, we have Teresia, we have Esther Mogo, we have Hanan Jeroge, we have Harrison, and we have Mary. I see a number not with us today. Teresia, Esther, Hannah. I don't know, Mr. Harrison, if there is a comment that you can share on this. I know we had a discussion last week on this with those who are there on Thursday.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'll need to consult on this one because I think I missed last week's engagement.
Okay. Okay, that's okay, Mr. Harrison. The team presented, they had made some good progress. So maybe let's have a look at this next week. Again, if you have something that you could share, just feel free to share through the email. Thank you. Finally, we have team 3. We have Maureen, we have Ndirangu, we have Sylvia, we have Susan, Tabitha, and Jane Mwangi. Jane Mwangi has opted out because of one or two things. Susan and Tabitha, any progress you could share on this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. We as group 3, we are trying to put our house in order. And probably by next week, we shall have something to tell you, to inform you about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I know you had last week you shared, and your topic is quite a very informative topic and very ideal, especially in the current setup. So I remember Maureen did a presentation. You did the presentation as a team last week. So I think just keep on adding some more content into what you shared last week, and then we can look at it next week. Otherwise, leaders, thank you so much for your consistency. Thank you for really engaging in class, sharing your views, and just opening up so that all of us could benefit from one another. I really appreciate for this, and we want to close at this. Just want to say God bless you. I doubt if there is someone with a question or anything to be clarified. Okay, if none, then I want to pause there. Let's say a prayer. God, thank you for enabling us to have this conversation tonight. Thank you for the reflection, the issues of purpose, the issues of character. We cannot be able to achieve what we have set up to achieve without you. We depend on you to be able to serve more effectively. And our prayer is that you continue to guide us. Our prayer is that you continue to deepen our understanding of this subject. More importantly, deepen our love for you, our love for humanity, that we may make a contribution in our lifetime. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, leaders, and I wish you a
Amen.
good night.
Good night,
Have a
all.
good night.